This mutation is called Media Blackout, and it is going to be played on Vermillion Problem. We have 3 mutators active. We have Missile Command, we move unseen, and we have Darkness. Now, there is one small issue, and this is a bug in the game, and not with the observer interface, is that the missiles, as you can see over here on the minimap, the missile pings do not actually disappear once a missile dies off. So what's going to happen is that eventually the entire minimap is going to be filled with pings of the missiles, and that actually unnecessarily makes the mission a little bit more difficult. So I really hope Blizzard goes ahead and fixes that bug at some point. As you can see over here, Zeratul is already going ahead and doing the fast expand, and some orbital strikes here are able to save these Royal Legion, and that's very, very important. Karax needs to have a correct mastery activation here, which is the 30 points of this initial Spear for Dune energy. He has the Repair Beam and Structure HP, so he's going for a static defense build, and Zeratul also having the Zeratul attack speed and the artifact spawn rate. So basically the goal is both commanders here will be going for a static defense build, and to be honest, Zeratul is one of those commanders that is just so extremely overpowered. It doesn't really matter what he does or how he does it, he just has the tools to pretty much handle any mutation out there. The other thing to note is Darkness does hard counter Zeratul's terrain vision. So if you have played Zeratul, you will notice that that Zeratul actually has vision of the entire map in the sense that it is explored. But with the Darkness mutator available, he can't actually see that. So these islands here look exactly as they are right now on the minimap. So it does make pathing the probes a little bit more difficult. There is a small probe pool here, a few probes being transferred from the main onto the expansion, so when the expansion comes out it can reach optimal saturation, and then it can be fully saturated a little bit later. So there we go, these probes are just going to be here and they'll be chilling around and waiting to start mining. The other thing to note is they have to be sent a little bit early because the lava phases can kind of interfere in the mining. It does slow down the economy a little bit, but in the long run it does work out a little bit better. Zeratul is taking up right now to his second structure, and that'll allow him to build his photon cannons, or the Tesseract cannons as they are called for Zeratul. As you can see over here, if you take a look at the minimap, there are a lot of pings here, and that is only going to get worse. And once the nukes actually start being launched from the map, they're going to be pretty much impossible to spot. So it is going to be a bit of a challenge here for the players. Zeratul, using his ability here, weakens a large number of these adepts and then gets cleared up by the photon cannon that has been left by his Karax ally. Karax going full def and Zeratul also going full def. Karax def is going to be defensive def, and Zeratul def is going to be offensive def, and that is the plan right now. We have a bunch of Tesseract cannons coming out now for Zeratul, and there are 2 more crystals on the map, and these crystals will have to be picked up at some point. There's a ping here for some of the probes are getting harassed here by some of the invisible units, but there's now another Royal Legion here, and there is a Void Ray that is poking away on this Royal Legion. Unfortunately, none of the players have noticed it because they are trying to not lose their units to some of the enemy spawns that have happened there. Now there is a ping over here, and at some point, Karax should hopefully try and take out that Void Ray. There we go. There is a ping. Fortunately, you cannot ping the invisible Void Ray, but the orbital strikes come out and end up taking out this unit here. So Royal Legion now has done its job, so it does get sent towards this next island here. Just deal a little bit of damage, and 2 probes chilling over here, wondering what happened to the crystals here, and there's now another spawn here. But very nice orbital strikes end up coming down, and essentially clean up most of this attack wave, except for that 1 sentry, but that is finished off as well on that side. Now, one thing to note about Missile Command when it comes to these static defenses is that most of these static defenses, like the Protoss photon cannons, are projectile attacks, which means they can be nullified by the point defense missiles that will accompany some of the missiles in the later stages of the game. However, These Tesseract monoliths are hit scanned, which means they cannot be blocked by the point defense missiles. So when you do want to set up, if you do want to set up static defenses, you want to consider what kind of static defense you want to have, because the nukes are accompanied by these point defense missiles, and that can cause a lot of problems. You can end up getting nuked, even if you have a lot of missile turrets, because these point defense missiles are actually really good. So they're very effective at what they do. But over here, both commanders are just macroing up right now, and Zeratul is chilling on this side. As we can see over here, Zeratul has laid out a little bit of a structure here with his shield guards. So the one thing to note is that the shade projections can actually be healed by the shield guards while they are in shade form. There's a small attack wave over here, large number of immortals, but Karax's solar lance ends up taking that out with the help of these Tesseract monoliths. But what happens is that these shades from these cannons can actually be regenerated, at least their shields can be regenerated, by shield guards. So what you can do over here is, this is something I normally do, I don't know if anyone else does it, but I tend to trap the shield guards in the in between these cannons, so they don't actually move around and end up focusing on one cannon. And this actually increases the sturdiness of your shade projections, and you know, it makes sure each shield guard is only allocated its own set of cannons. So it does increase your uptime of your shades, but it also reduces the amount of energy wastage on your shield guards. So this is something I've started doing. I'm not sure if anyone else does it. If anyone does, do let me know in the comments. But I found that this kind of layout where you put these little squares, what you can actually do is put 9 cannons per, or not 9, but you put 8 cannons per shield guard. So put like a square and then put another full row of cannons on this side and move this thing over here. That might be a little bit better, because these 2 shield guards can both focus on like these 3 cannons here, which is probably not as effective. But regardless, I use this kind of layout now. And we can see now that Zeratul is going to start making some observers, and Zeratul's observers are amazing. They have a very high amount of vision, as you can see over here, and this is why, like I say, Zeratul is he just hard counters pretty much every single mutator. Zeratul is going to start putting down observers all around the map, and he's basically going to have vision. And you can see now how nasty the minimap pings are. It's completely filled up the minimap, and it makes spotting these missiles, these nuclear missiles, very difficult, because you can actually see them. And eventually what's also going to happen, by the way, is when you take out these nuclear missiles, the ping is still going to remain on the minimap, so every single time you take a look at the minimap, you're going to get a small heart attack when you see the missile is near your base, and then you realize the missile doesn't actually exist. So yeah, I really hope Blizzard does end up fixing that bug. Karax has just taken this expansion right now, and it's saturating, but again, Karax's goal is to just do static defense here. And these are the point defense missiles I was talking about, these little things with the 2 antennas here. That is where you can have a little bit of problems, but again, you can overwhelm them when you have a large number of cannons, but that is only 1 point defense missile. I believe the nuclear missiles are escorted by 4 or I believe 5 of those point defense missiles, and that is where it becomes really difficult and very annoying to deal with. As you can see over here, Zeratul is already in location here, and is going to go ahead and deal with this next spawn, and uses his ability here to clean up the side. Karax is going to pick up the crystal and a few orbital strikes as well, just to weaken some of these enemy units here. Zeratul doesn't really need the help. Again, like I said, Zeratul, really OP commander, really broken. And yeah, his cannons are basically okay here, taking out this side. But Zeratul will be spraying his observers all around the map, and that will provide pretty much full vision. As you can see over here, another observer is going to get bit. And one thing to note about this is you want to put your observers on actual ground terrain, not where the lava is, because otherwise your lava spouts will end up shooting these observers out of the sky. So just putting them there, and you can see the amount of vision now. You have the darkness mutator active, but Zeratul has vision of pretty much the entire left side of the map. And you should not only be doing this with the darkness mutator active, you should be doing this on pretty much every single map. Commanders get a very powerful buff when they have vision around the minimap. So think of a commander like Swan, for example. If Swan is able to see the entire map, his laser drill is going to increase in effectiveness tenfold, because he's able to deal a lot of damage. There is another drop here, some immortals. They end up taking out a few of these cannons, but Karax is able to use the soul lance to clean that out. And so far, yeah, News lost only two cannons and three of the Void Rays from the Zerai Legion, so that's relatively decent. But yeah, always try and like provide vision to your ally around the map. You know, call downs and Swan's laser drill, for example, they gain efficiency when they have vision around the entire map. So you should be trying to spread vision all the way through. You can spot attack waves early. It just makes the mission so much easier when you have vision all the way through. So again, just a bunch of observers here, and you know, trying to make sure that these observers do not aggro some of these units here. So they're just put on the edges of the map, and then now there is another Zerai Legion that gets dropped here, just to provide a little bit more pushing power for the commanders here. A large number of cannons come out here, and this entire island will be cleared out. And now we have the first set of nukes that are being spawned. So, you know, just have a look at the minimap and just see how insanely difficult it is to try and spot that nuke. You know the nuke is on this side, and Karax will end up taking that nuke out. But now see what's happened on the minimap here. That nuke marker is still available here. So it's fine when you have one or two, but you know, when you're in 20 minutes into the game and you have a nuke that's being launched every 60 seconds, this minimap is going to get filled up by these nuke icons, and it's going to be very difficult to spot where the next nuke is going to be coming in. Zeratul is just chilling over here now, just watching. Zeratul has already developed his forces relatively strongly here, and you can see here we have another island of cannons. So Zeratul's pushes are going to be purely from cannons and his call downs. We have an Avatar of Essence that gets dropped down, devolves a lot of these enemy units, and the Hybrid Dominator is left over, but the Hybrid Dominator stands no chance against the large number of cannons on this side. So that ends up going down. Now, one thing to also note is if you are going for a cannon build, you can sometimes go for the Avatar of Form instead of the Avatar of Essence, because the Avatar of Essence it provides this attack speed buff to units, but since you're not using units, it is a little bit less effective. Zeratul is pushing on this side as well, so it's completely up to you. I prefer the Avatar of Essence just because it just weakens these enemy units over here. And now there is a nuke on this side, and you can see the number of point defense missiles here, and that is where the problem can occur. Is if these cannons are not able to take out these point defense missiles in time, the nuke is going to hit, and that will cause you to have a very, very bad day. But that area has held for Amon. There were not enough shield projections here to deal with that, but the next wave should be able to clear it. As you can see over here, observer on this side, it's just providing vision, and you know, that's about 50% of the map now that you have complete and persistent vision of. It's not even explored, it's actual vision, so you can see all the enemy units and whatnot there. Next nuke has been launched, and this nuke is on this side. As you can see, 5-point defense missiles. The orbital strikes can't take it out. These point defense missiles are just continuing their path through, not knowing what's going on. I actually don't know if they turn around or if they just park themselves on where the target is. So I'm just going to have a look and see in just a little bit what these things are going to do. But yeah, we have a large number of cannons now that have come out, and I'm not really sure what they're going to do. I think they sit at the base. These things generally very rarely survive because there are a lot of hit scan attacks there, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, that area has been cleared out now, and Zeratul's cannons are just going to clean up these Nexus, this Nexus over here. And yeah, so we are waiting for the next nuke. I think the next nuke is... Where is the next nuke coming up from? I'm actually not sure. You can see how, like, it's so difficult to see where the nuke is coming from. I'm not really sure. Okay, there's the nuke, and there are a lot of point defense missiles over here. And unfortunately, there are no hit scan attacks here, and that nuke goes off instantly, nuking a large number of cannons for Zeratul, and Zeratul is not happy right now because that nuke has resulted in the loss of... Actually, I do not know if there are shades. Okay, those are the shades. 12 cannons have gone down as a result of that. But there you go, that is the power of those point defense missiles. So just because you have a lot of static defense does not mean you are safe from this. Now, one thing Zeratul can do is put down some of these Tesseract monoliths. That is one option, but as you can see here, Kaidaran monoliths are coming down for Karax, and that'll be able to take out a large number of the units there. So Karax's repair beam combined with the shield guard healing is very, very useful. Zeratul is going to go ahead and rebuild the cannons that he has lost on this side. As you can see, Zeratul is just pretty much unfazed by the nuke in the middle of his base there, and this is why Zeratul is just so insanely powerful. He doesn't really need that many structures to be able to just push really hard and end up clearing this side. Zeratul is in the middle of the lava spawn. and he might be ending up with a very bad... Oh, no, he decides to move out of the way, and he was adding this for a little bit of suspense, because this mutation is relatively long, and to be honest, I'm not really much of a fan of this map. It's kind of long and very, very detached. The lava phases don't really do anything during the lava phases, so it feels kind of slow. And especially if you're not able to pick up most of the crystals in time, it does further lengthen the mission time. One thing to also note is that the advantage of having these observers scattered around the map is you have the vision, and you can actually see where these crystals are going to be spawning. So since there are no crystals visible on the minimap, I think the next set of crystals might have actually spawned in this area, on the down area here. And Zeratul is just looking at this Robo Reaver attack wave that has been spawned. Solar Lance comes out and ends up cleaning up this side relatively quickly. I don't know if Zeratul... Yeah. Avatar Essence gets dropped on this side. As you can see, that Devolve is very, very useful for taking out these high risk units here. Next set of Photon Cannons come out here to just weaken this enemy forces on the side. And now there's a Zarya Legion as well that'll just be they'll be on cleanup duty on this side. Zeratul is just chilling on this side. He doesn't really need to do anything else now. Zeratul has enough cannons here. How many cannons does he have in total? He has a total of 58 of these Tesseract cannons, which are more than enough. And as I said before, combined with the shield guards, provide him with a lot of pushing power. And Karax is also going full defense here. He has one Kaidaran monolith on that side and 64 of these photon cannons. So where are his? Okay, so his photon cannons are scattered all the way throughout the map. Over here, notice how these Tesseract monoliths are set at the back there, so they do not draw a lot of aggro. But yeah, I think Karax has basically put his scans all around just to deal with the missile command mutator. But see how littered the map is, the mini-map is, with all these missile command pings, and that is where it becomes really difficult, because finding these nukes is going to be pretty much impossible now. Because, yeah, especially if they spawn from some of the edges of the map, they could basically hide under these little mini-map pings. And that's not very fun to deal with. But Zeratul is just going ahead, and now there's a pure fire beam that gets dropped here as well to take out these enemy units. And Zeratul will just be pushing around this side. You can see here, like, I can see 2 or 3 nuke pings. But, you know, these nukes were taken out by these Tesseract monoliths, and their mini-map pings are still available here. That is a nuke on that side. And is Karax going to have a good day or a bad day? He's going to have a good day. There we go. And Zeratul is just waiting around now to push into this next side. Crystals have essentially been picked up. There's one crystal here, but that crystal is safe. It's not going to get removed after the lava spawn. So just another bunch of cannons going to get dropped here just to clear out Amon's structures. And Zeratul is going to be waiting before he pushes into this side next. There's a Zarya Legion that gets dropped. Zeratul decides to push in, and he gets blocked by his own cannons. Blinks into the middle, and he just gets focus fired down by a large number of units, and Zeratul explodes into tiny little bits right there. And even the Hybrid Dominator did not have to do anything. Those depths and everything else took care of Zeratul relatively quickly. The Zarya Legion is fine. It'll be able to clean up the rest of these units on this side. There is another crystal spawn now. As you can see, the advantage of having the Observer and having that vision is very important. You can actually see that crystal has spawned there, which means that if the crystal is spawned there, then you probably have some crystals more. You have some more crystals maybe on this side as well. So once you can see one spawn, you can kind of guess where the rest of the spawns are. I have not memorized the spawn order, because the spawn order is semi-randomized. So there is a little bit of on this mission. There is a certain pattern that you can get. It's one of 3 different spawn locations per wave after, I think, the 3rd crystal wave, which is the ones that, you know, spawn on this side. After that, you can get one of 3 every single time, and the spawn locations, you know, if you know one of them, then you'll know where the other 2 spawn locations are. I have not memorized them because I don't genuinely believe it's very useful. The only time it is useful is when you are up against this darkness mutator here. But, you know, there's so few and far between, and if you are playing reasonably well, or if you're playing Zeratul, for example, it doesn't really matter whether you've memorized these patterns. It's not really important. You can just go around and explore and try and find out, you know, where these crystals are. So as you can see over here, the crystal spawns are on this location here. There is a new ping marker again on this side, so that was taken out probably through some orbital strikes, but that ping marker is going to stay on the minimap. The minimap is fairly littered right now. We are approaching the 28-minute mark in the game, and I believe I believe we're nearing the end of the game as well, because I think a lot of crystals have been picked up, but you know, who can tell? I can't. I certainly can't tell how many crystals have been picked up, because there is just so much. Oh, that probe instantly gets roasted. Rip the probe. And now there's Molten Sal has spawned on this side, and he's going to be wreaking some havoc on some of these civilians. He's just roasting all these civilians here, and Zeratul does spawn some cannons, but I think it's a little bit too late for these cannons to take out Molten Sal right now. It'll deal a little bit of damage, maybe about 50% HP, but he's going to despawn, and he's going to get away and survive for now. But now we have another bunch of crystal spawns here, and another bunch of cannons are already ready to handle the spawn. But there are a lot of immortals, and immortals deal a lot of damage. But as you can see here, the shield regeneration for these shades are very, very useful. Keeping these shades alive, these shield guards are actually doing a lot of work and ending up healing these units out. See, the shield guards are actually out of energy, but that's a good thing. If they are out of energy, it means you are using your shades relatively effectively. And as you can see over here, Karax has actually put down cannons all around the map. So he's able to, what he's been able to do is take out missiles regardless of where they spawn, which is very, very interesting play here. Very, very hyper efficient in terms of the defenses. But yeah, this is offensive cannoning and this is defensive cannoning. So there you go. Two types of I-def on this map. I-def and I-attack, and I-def. So there you go. We have another bunch of shades coming up on this side. Unfortunately, there is nothing here because I think the area has been cleared out already for Zeratul. But we're waiting for Molten Sal to spawn right now. And as you can see, the minimap, you pretty much we have full vision now of the minimap. So there's Molten Sal. A large number of orbital strikes come out here with Zeratul shades, but the shades are a little bit too slow for that. And the last crystal gets deposited into the environmental stabilizer, and that is GG.